Very good evening to all of you. Very good evening to all of you. I hope my voice is audible to all of you. Not getting any confirmation from yes. Okay. So till previous class we are discussing about the sale of goods act and previous session I think I have not taken previous Wednesday. So what is our last class discussion? Up to which point we covered? I think up to the page number 95, the recent version, January version I'm using. In that up to example 3 we covered, if I'm not wrong. Up to example 3 we covered it. I hope you guys remember our last class discussion. So shall we continue? From that point we will continue to the next topic, the risk prima facie passes with property. Risk prima facie passes with property. So whatever the classes I'm taking, I'm also sharing in YouTube actually. So you can go there and view the topics. Till now I took 3 classes. All the 3 classes I already uploaded. So you can just go through and if you missed out something, you can go through and learn there also at your own convenience. I'm sharing the YouTube channel name also. You note down. Just sharing in the chat box. Later on, you please, if you want to revise again, you can go there and view the videos. I shared with everyone. Okay. So we will continue now. We'll come back to the topic. Risk prima facie passes with property. Risk prima facie passes with property means what? Property means it is not physical or tangible or intangible. It is like it is like validity of that particular asset or particular goods. That is property. Property means the legal legal right that is transferred from one person to another person. That is property. Legal right, that ownership right is transferred to one person to another person. When the ownership right is transferred, when the ownership is the possession, the ownership is transferred, at that point of time itself risk is transferred. That's what they are saying. Risk prima facie passes with the property. I sold some goods to you, but you didn't take delivery. I sold some goods to X. X didn't take the delivery from me, but property is already transferred to him. Only goods is with me, the property, that ownership is already transferred with him. That means risk is already transferred with him. Even though he left the goods in my location, but I am not the owner now, because the property, that ownership is already transferred to X. That's what they are trying to say. It's not about physical thing. It is about the legal thing. Legally, who is the owner? That's what we have to see. See, just we will go through inside. Unless otherwise agreed, the goods remain at the seller's risk until the property therein is transferred to the buyer. But when the property therein is transferred to the buyer, the goods are at the buyer risk, whether delivery has been made or not. That's what they are saying. When the sale is made, sale mean that does not mean you are delivered the goods. When the sale is made, when you transfer the property, the sale is made. Okay, if the property is not transferred to buyer till that time, it is the responsibility of the seller who has to maintain the who has the responsible for risk and reward of that particular goods. Once the property is transferred, that is ownership is transferred to buyer, means that risk is also transferred to buyer. Even though goods still with the seller custody, buyer only responsible, because the property, the ownership is already transferred to him. Buyer has to take care if anything is happened further to the goods. That's what they are saying. Effect of destruction of goods. Effect of destruction of goods. If something is happened to goods, what will happen then? When it happens, that we have to check. Whether before sale, whether before transfer the property or after transfer the property, but we have to check the contract. We have to check the contract. When the destruction of goods is happened, destruction of goods means goods damaged, goods destroyed. Who is responsible, seller or buyer? We have to see the case to case, what is the condition, what is the, as per agreement, what is the terms and condition. Based on that only we can decide. If there is no agreement, then general principles will apply, general rules and regulations will apply. What is those things? We will see. Goods perishing before making of contract. Goods perishing before making of contract mean what? I went to some fruit shop for buying some 1 kg of apples. Before buying the apples, I am just inquiring with the seller, vendor. I want to buy the fruit. Okay. Before the seller sells the goods to me, that sells the apples to me, the apples already got perished. That means we are not able to use that one. Apple is already apple life is already over. What will happen? Who is responsible, seller or buyer? Tell me. I went to fruit shop, I asked for 1 kg of apple, and buyer and seller said, okay sir, I will arrange, just wait. Okay sir, just wait, I will arrange everything. Before buying, apple got perished already. We are not it is not in a consumable manner. So who is responsible, seller or buyer? Tell me. Seller, buyer, seller. Seller only responsible. I didn't take the delivery of apple, I didn't take the ownership, I didn't take the property. Before that, before buying itself, this apple got damaged or apple got perished. Now who is responsible? Seller only responsible, not buyer. That's what they are trying to say. Understood? Now we will get into the theory, what they are saying. Section 7, where there is a contract for the sale of specific goods, the contract is void if the goods without the knowledge of the seller have, at the time when the contract was made, perished or become so damaged as no longer to answer the description in the contract. So before selling itself, apple got perished, it is damaged. then I cannot make a sale at all. If I make a sale, it is a void, not acceptable, not acceptable contract at all. Got it? That is goods perishing before making of contract. Then next one is goods perishing before sale, but after agreement to sell. What happens? Here also, I'm going to fruit vendor. What I said now, sir, I want 1 kg of apple. But vendor said, sir, presently I don't have apple. Once I bought from the my dealer, then I will share with you. Then that is not a sale. That's an agreement to sell. I am going to a shop, this fruit shop. I asked apple, no apples. He said the apple will come later. Then I made an agreement to sell with him. Okay, once apple came, you just give it to me. So we will, as of now, we will put an agreement for sale. It is not an actual sale. Then what happens? Later on, I went there, sir, while purchasing from my dealer, the apple got already perished, sir. So you have to take care. You have to take care because for you only I purchased, but while purchasing itself, apple got perished. You are only responsible. I am not responsible. You agree with this? Who is responsible, seller or buyer in this case? Again, you tell me, seller or buyer? Buyer. Buyer. I ordered 1 kg apple from the seller. While ordering, he don't have apple at all. He said, I will bring later. Okay. So there is no sale while I'm ordering. It's an agreement to sell. That means in future I will sell to you. Later on he is coming and he is telling me that, sir, you ordered me apple. I also tried to purchase, but once while I am purchasing itself, apple got perished. So you have to take care the loss. I will not bother. Like that, seller is saying to buyer. Now you tell me, seller is responsible, buyer is responsible. Whether the sale is happened before or not happened, it is an agreement to sale. Property is not transferred. It's a future goods, not present goods. Now tell me, who is responsible, buyer or seller? All of you try to answer, not only few. Lot of students are available in online. You all please engage yourself. Seller, only you. Buyer, most of the answer is buyer, few seller. In my opinion, it is seller only. Because I ordered to seller, his job is to arrange apple to me. But before I'm buying from him, the apple got perished. It is his job. He has to take care. He will buy from anybody. That is not my problem. My agreement, I made an agreement with him to buy an apple, good apple. But he is not delivered the good apple. He is delivering the perished apple. Before making the sale itself, agreement to sale is not an actual sale. Agreement to sale is like, if you bring, then only it will be converted into sale. Agreement to sale is like, it's like an a pro forma. When it becomes actual sale, when he is delivering the goods properly, then only it becomes actual sales. So it is seller responsibility. He has to take care. When I ordered an apartment, for example, when I ordered an apartment, I am going to buy an apartment. Builder is constructing an apartment. So before making the delivery itself, there is an earthquake. So this apartment totally damaged, and there is nothing. Only sand is there. Who is responsible, builder or the buyer? Builder only responsible because the asset is not transferred to the buyer. Only the payment is received. Like that only here also. So section 8, what is the thing? Whether there is an agreement to sale for specific goods and subsequently the goods without any fault on the part of the seller or buyer perish or become so damaged as no longer to answer to the description in the agreement before the risk passes to the buyer, the agreement is thereby void. Section 7(8) are applicable only in case of specific goods and not uncertain generic goods. That's what. If it is perished, then you can't do anything. That agreement is not valid because property is not transferred to the buyer. Then example, given some example in Dembly, Hamilton and Co. V versus Baden Engineering. You remember all these words and all. 1949. Okay, Sale of Goods Act. Demby, Hamilton and Co. versus Baden Engineering Works Limited. 1949. All ER 435. A contracted to purchase 30 tons of apple juice from B. A is contracted to purchase 30 tons of apple juice from B. Delivery has to be made in weekly truckload. B crushed the apples and put the juice in cask for delivery. A delayed the taking of delivery. As a result, juice got deteriorated in quality. It was held that the property in goods has been passed on to A. Accordingly, yes, in this case it is different. What happened? A ordered juice from B. Okay. B what did he already grinded the juice and he prepared and kept it ready for A. But A did not drink the juice. Then whose problem it is? A's problem or B's problem? You went for an juice shop, you ordered the juice, okay, fresh juice, and the waiter came and he kept in the table fresh juice, and you got an immediate call with your close friend. You started talking with them for 2 to 3 hours continuously. After 3 hours, what happened? Juice got perished, and you are asking the juice seller, you kept in my table now, this juice got perished. Who is responsible? You or me? Seller or buyer? Buyer only responsible. Because he already kept the juice in your table. You had a personal discussion with your friend for 2 to 3 hours, and you are asking now the juice is perished, means who is responsible? You have to drink immediately fresh juice means, otherwise it will lose the natural characteristics. So be only responsible because juice is ready for drink. Okay. Like that only. Next example 2. B of Benares writes C of Chennai to send him 50 pieces of wristwatch by post parcel. C sends the 50 pieces of wristwatch by parcel post with the correct address of B. However, the parcel was misplaced in the post and never reached B. This loss will be borne by B as the property in goods has passed on to the buyer the moment the parcel is delivered to the post office with the correct address. This is arguable one. What they are saying, I ordered a wristwatch from the seller, he couriered me, but what happened during he couriered me with my correct address, but the courier went somewhere else. I am not able to receive the courier. What they are saying, it's a buyer responsibility because seller correctly couriered to your office address, to your address they are correctly couriered, but it is not reached to you means then seller is not responsible at all. That's what they are saying, but this is debatable. still we will accept the institute answer. So someone is couriering you with the correct address of you, but it is not delivered to you means then it is your problem, not their problem, because sale is already completed once the goods is transferred from their godown. But we have to see, check. We have to check the contract. We have to check the terms and condition. If there is a terms and condition which says that only the goods ownership is transferred only if you receive the goods means then it is different. But if the contract terms and condition is silent means then buyer responsibility. That's what they are saying. Okay. Example 3. A of Delhi agreed to purchase 500 liters of engine oil from B. As per the terms of agreement, delivery was to made in special pouches of 500 ml supplied by A, while B was making filling 500 ml pouches for delivery to A. The store got fire as a result. The entire quantity of engine oil lying therein lost in fire as per section 26. Now what they are saying, two fellows A and B. Okay. What happened? A is telling to B, you send me engine oil in some pouches, 500 ml pouches you send me. Okay, ordered A ordered to B. B said, okay, I will send you. Then B started preparing one by one, one pouch, two pouch, three pouch, 500 ml pouches started preparing by B. What happened while preparing by B? Na, that time itself there is a huge fire in B's godown. All the engine oil got damaged. Now tell me, A is responsible or B is responsible? That is, buyer is responsible or seller is responsible? As per you. You ordered something in phone, like for example, you ordered pizza. Okay. Yeah, very good pizza, cheese pizza you ordered in phone, and they started preparing. What happened? They overcooked the food. They overcooked the food. The food got damaged. Now pizza person is calling you, sir, you ordered some pizza, but it is overcooked. Everything is got damaged, but you have to eat because we already prepared. Now tell me, do you eat or you will not eat? Seller responsibility or buyer responsibility in this case? Seller only, because ownership is not transferred, property is not transferred, so it is seller responsibility. That's what they said here. Okay. So next one, sale by person, not the owner, or memo that you habit, some other language word. Okay. Sale by person, not the owner. Sometimes what will happen, sir, in example 2, in buyers, sir, in example in buyer side also there is no fault, then why he is responsible? Because he ordered the goods and the goods is actually delivered in correct address. That means goods is sent with the correct address. Okay, that means goods is transferred to buyer once the goods started, from the seller's godown. It is, that's what we have to check the terms and conditions. Some contract it is a responsibility of buyer, some contract is a responsibility of seller. Okay, you have to check. If the contract is silent, then it is buyer responsibility. That's what they are saying. It's an arguable one. Sale by person, not the owner, or nemo that Q habit. What happens sometimes, you know, there will be lot of time what is happening even in Chennai. You take real estate property and all, owner will be in some abroad or somewhere else. Okay, owner will be somewhere else, some they will be in abroad or any other location. Property owner, here there will be some real estate mafia peoples. What they will do now, they will create fake documents. Everything they will create, because owner is not here. Everything they will change, from each and everything they will change, document name, everything. They will give bribe to government official also, and they will change the name and all in the sale agreement and everything. They will prepare one fake document and they will sell that property to another person. Actually they will not be the owner. Okay, but they will sell to another person. For example, X is in abroad. Okay, X is in abroad, X property is in Chennai. Y is an real estate mafia guy. Why? What he did now, he just created fake documents and he sold to Z. Now tell me, Z can take the ownership or he cannot take the ownership? Tomorrow if X is asking, Z has to surrender the property or he will not surrender the property? X is in abroad, he don't know anything. Y is a real estate mafia guy. He created fake document and sold everything to Z. Now X is coming to India and asking to Z, this is my property. Someone is made cheat on you. You have to give me my property back. Whether Z should give or he will not give, that is my question. He will not submit, not to give. He want to give. What about others? Z should give to A. Good. What about others? Z to give to X, not A. Z should give to X. X. Yes. Z should give to X because actual owner is X only, not Y. Y is a fraud fellow. He is a mafia guy. He is not at all owner. He did some fraud to Z. Actual owner is X. Okay, that's what they are saying here. If you are not an owner, then you don't have right to sell the property to another person. If anybody purchases from you, then they have to return to the actual owner. That's what they are saying here. Okay, I'm reading the theory now. In normal course, a buyer may assume that the seller is the owner of the goods or having authority from the owners to sell the goods. Where goods are sold by a person who is not the owner thereof and who does not sell them under the authority or with the consent of the owner, the buyer acquires no better title to goods than the seller's had, unless the owner of the goods is owner of the goods is by conduct precluded from denying the seller's authority to sell. What they are trying to say ultimately from here exact owner only they can sell the goods, not the fraud fellow and all. That's what they are trying to say. Okay, second para I'm reading. Generally the owner alone can transfer the property in goods. Generally the owner alone can transfer the property in goods. Nemo dat quo habet means that no one can give what he himself does not have. 1 mark, you remember for 1 mark purpose. Nemo dat quo habet means I am not the owner, then how can I sell the property? That's what they are saying. Means that no one can give what he himself does not have. I am a bank, I don't have anything, then I can how can I give you? Like an political parties giving lot of promises during election time and later on they will forget. It is related to Nemo that quo habit only, what they are doing. I will give you this much, I will create this much, but I don't have anything, then how can I give? That's the code they will give later. Okay, it means a non-owner, it means a non-owner cannot make valid transfer of property in goods. Okay, it means a non-owner cannot make valid transfer of property in goods. I'm not a owner, then how can I make a transfer? If the title of the seller is defective, if the title of the seller is defective means I am not the owner at all, then whatever I sold is not a sales at all, it is a defective. The buyer's title will also be subject to same defect. I am not a owner, then how can I transfer the property to you? Then you are not eligible to buy that. If the seller has no title, the buyer does not acquire any title. Although he might have acted honestly and might have acquired the goods after due payment. This rule is protect to real owner of goods. Of course, thief will be the lot of thief. What they will do? They will go to some house and they will, rob the gold and all. Then what they will do? Then they will go to the pawn shop. Okay, they will pledge the gold and they will get the money. Now tell me, police going to the pawn shop and they are asking that owner or the gold jewelry loan owner. Okay, they are asking, police is asking that owner, jewelry shop owner, give me the jewelry back. Whether jewelry shop owner should give the jewelry back or he will say, see, I bought from this fellow, I already paid money to them, so you go and collect the money from them, you don't ask me jewelry from me. Whether the seller jewelry point of view is correct or wrong, tell me, correct or wrong, just tell me. Wrong. Wrong. What about others? What about others? You try to interact as much as possible. Wrong, because he should verify his profile and ownership also. Wrong. That jewelry gave back. Yes. Because ownership is not there. Nemo that quo habet only. No one can give what he himself does not have. I am not at all owner, then how can I sell? That's what they are saying. This rule is to protect. This rule is to protect the real owner of the goods. Though this doctrine seeks to protect the interest of the real owners, but in the interest of the trade and commerce, there must be some safeguard available to a person who acquired such goods in good faith for value. Accordingly, the Act provides the following exception to this doctrine, which seeks to protect the interest of the bona fide buyers. Generally, anything is wrong. If I'm not a owner, then buyer cannot take any buyer does not have any right on the goods. But there is some exception for this. In these are the cases where buyer can have some rights on the goods still. In these are the scenarios where the buyer can have some rights on the goods still, even though is unaware about the actual thing. What thing we will see now? Sale by mercantile agent. Sale by mercantile agent. For example, mercantile agent, you are going for Royal Enfield bullet shop. So recent bullet of what you can say, Thunderstorm or what? The recent edition of a Royal Enfield bike. What is that recent model? Royal Enfield Classic 350 or Thunderstorm or what it is? Something like that coming, na? No idea. Thunderbird. What will be the Thunderbird price approximately? Tell me. Thunderbird. It's around 1.5 lakhs to 2 lakhs. It's around 1.5 lakhs to 2 lakhs. $2.5 lakhs. Yes, sir. 2 lakhs. Okay. So you went to an dealer. Dealer. Okay. Dealer is what actually? Whether dealer is the Royal Enfield manufacturer? Dealer is the Royal Enfield manufacturer or what? He's an agent. You are going there. Okay. And they offered this bike, new bike, for 50,000 to you, and you bought the bike, from them. Now tell me whether this is a valid sale or not a valid sale. 1.5 lakhs, 2 lakhs bike they offered for 50,000 and you bought it. Now tell me whether this is a valid sale or invalid sale. I'm asking, valid or invalid? Invalid. What about others? Invalid. You bought it from the dealer, proper dealer, registered dealer, authorized by Royal Enfield showroom. Royal Enfield manufacturer authorized the dealer. Okay, they are offering for 50,000, but ex showroom price is still 1.5 lakhs. Since they are willing offering us, it is valid, sir. They are authorized dealer. They have a right to sell the goods. So you also believed and went there. Later on, Royal Enfield manufacturer is coming to you. Sir, he wrongly sold for 50,000 to you, but actual price is 1.5 lakhs. You give me balance 1 lakhs to me. Whether Royal Enfield owner manufacturer will ask you or you will ask the agent. You will ask you or you will ask the agent. You or agent, tell me. Agent only you will ask. That's what. That means this is exception. Mercantile agent is an agent appointed by the actual owner for promoting and selling his goods for certain price. But he is violating that rules and regulation. That is the problem between actual owner and the agent, not the buyer. Okay, not with the buyer. It is a problem between the manufacturer, principal, and the agent. Principal and the agent, not the actual buyer. That means buyer's right is protected there. You believed the agent, you believed the dealer, and you purchased the bike. Then you are not responsible. Only the agent is responsible to the original owner. Okay. That's what mentioned here. Sale by mercantile agent. Sale by mercantile agent. Where a mercantile agent is with the consent of the owner in possession of the goods or of a document of a title of the goods. Any sale made by him when acting in the ordinary course of business of a mercantile agent shall be as valid as if he were expressly authorized by the owner of the goods to make the same, provided that the buyer act in good faith and has not at the time of the contract of sale notice that seller has no authority to sell. Example is also given. Whatever the example I said, na similar example. So I'm not going to discuss that. The same example here. What I said is bike, here it is car. That's it. That is the different. So next one is sale by one of joint owners. This is also another exception. There are three owners for particular property. Okay, there are three owners for particular property, but this is debatable only. This is arguable, but 50-50, it is like 50-50 only, we have to take it. Three owners for particular property. What happened? Three owners, A, B, C, three owners is there. A and B, A, B, C, both three owners is there. They are owner for one particular car. Okay, what happened? A and B, A, B and C both are three owners for one car. One car, three owners. C is using the car. Okay, C is using the car and he is also co-owner. What happened? C suddenly, without the knowledge of A and B, without the knowledge of A and B, what C did na? He sold the car to D. He sold the car to D. D, what happens? D, while purchasing, he believed that he is having authority to sell, because he is also part of the owner. One of the owner, he is having that authority to sell the goods. But later on, A and B is saying, why? How you sold without our permission? To C, they are saying, how you sold without their permission, without our permission? How you sold? You should get the car back. It is not possible, because D purchased from C on the faith on C that he is having authority to sell the goods, but actually he don't have authority. In such a case, A and B can sue this C only, not D, because he is also owner for that goods. He is also having rights to sell that goods. So in such a case, whatever the damages happen to A and B should be borne by only C, borne by only C only, not D. That's what they are saying here. Sale by one of joint owners. If one of several joint owners of goods, if one of several joint owners of goods has the sale possession of them by permission of the co-owners, the property in the goods is transferred to any person who buys them of such joint owner in good faith, and has not at the time of contract of sale notice that the seller has no authority to sell. Where there is a contract of the sale of unascertained goods, no property in the goods transferred to the buyer unless until the goods are ascertained. That is different. But ascertained goods means then buyer is not responsible, because A, B, C, three owner is there. Out of three, C sold the goods to D. D believed that C is having authority to sell, but later on only comes to know that C only does not have authority to sell. Now D is not responsible. A and B should ask C only, not D. Understood what I'm saying, or it is confusing? You are able to understand what I'm saying? You are able to understand what I'm saying? Yes. So the example I'm going to go through now. The same example is there actually. I will again explain. I will explain example with example. A, B, and C are three joint owner of car, which is B with the consent of A and C. What happened here? Na A, B, C, three owner is there for one car, but the car is with B. Car is with B, but three owner A, B, C. B wrongfully sold the car to D without any knowledge and authority of remaining partner. D in good faith purchased the car and paid the price after taking the delivery. The property in goods transferred to D despite the B is not the owner of the car. What they are saying here na, A, B and C, three people is there, one car they are having, both three is owner for that one car. B is having that car. B, what happened? B, what he did now, suddenly sold the car to D without the knowledge of A and B. Later on only come to know without the knowledge of A and C. Later on what happened? A and C is asking the D, why you sold this car? Later on they are asking the B actually. A and C asking the B, Why you sold this car to D? Why you sold this car to D without our knowledge? We want our car back. Give me the car back. They are asking from D actually. In such case, what happened? D will tell, sir, you are three owners. Out of that, I discussed with B. He said that he is having that authority to sell because he is also co-owner. So I believed him and I have faith on him and I purchased this car. Now it is a problem between you and B. Now it is a problem between A, B and C because I paid total price for the car. You ask the damages from him and collect from him. Okay, that's what the thing. But this is arguable one only because A and B is also should be discussed before passing the car to D. But rule is in the favor of D. Shall I proceed with the next example? Next topic, shall I proceed? Sale by person. Sale by person in possession under voidable contract. Sale by person in possession under voidable contract. When the seller of goods has obtained possession thereof under a contract voidable under section 19 or section 19A of the Indian Contract Act 1872, but the contract has not rescinded at the time of the sale, the buyer acquires a good title to the goods, provided he buys them in good faith and without notice of the seller's defect of title. Yeah, same again. I will tell you. Same I told na thief is there. What he did, he went to some houses and he robbed the jewelries and all, and he sold to the jewelry shop. Thief sold the jewels to the jewelry shop. Okay. When police will catch the thieves and when the police will actually go to the jewelry shop? Tell me. When they will go to the jewelry shop? When they will come to know first? Tell me. When they will come to know there is a theft happened? Police, when they will come to know where there is a theft happened? At what point of time? At what point of time? When owner will be complaining. Owner will be complaining to the police. Then only police will come to know. Then only police can visit this jewelry shop. Then only they can ask na. If owner is silent, he is not giving complaint because he bought that gold with black money. So he does not want to complain. What will happen then? To the jewel, what will happen? That jewelry owner purchased from this guy, believing that this guy is the actual owner, but actually he is a thief. Sold the goods to that jewelry owner. Jewelry shop owner, he sold the goods. Jewelry shop owner believed that he will be a nice guy, he will not be a thief, he will be the actual owner. Okay, but this contract is voidable only the affected person, that the real owner, when he is giving complaint to the police, then only this contract becomes void. Till now, that contract is voidable. You understood? Only the actual the person, affected person giving complaint na, then only it becomes void. Till that, it is a voidable contract. Understood or not? Because nobody knows, no. He believes that his property, he is the actual owner, but he is a thief who sold the goods to jewelry shop. Jewelry shop owner is also purchased. He believing that he is the actual owner, but actual owner is different fellow. But he is not ready to give complaint. He is not ready to give a complaint. Understood? That's what said here. When the seller of goods, has obtained possession thereof under a contract, when the seller of goods has obtained possession thereof under a contract, voidable under section 19 or section 90A of the Indian Contract Act 1872, but the contract has not rescinded at the time of the sale, the buyer acquires a good title to the goods, provided he buys them in good faith and without notice to the seller's defect of title. Seller is a thief, but buyer is believing that he is a owner, so he is buying from seller, but actually he is not the owner. It is a voidable contract. When it becomes void, when the actual exact owner giving complaint na, that time it becomes void. Example, A purchased a mobile set from B by fraud. A purchased a mobile set from B by fraud. A has avoidable title to the mobile set at the option of B. Before B could resign the contract, A sold the same to C, who purchased it from A in good faith and without knowledge of fraud by A and paid for it. C has a good title to the goods. Similar to our this thing only na. What A did na? A looted the mobile from B actually. A looted the mobile from B, and what happened? B is also silent. 5,000 rupees mobile only, already we used, it becomes old, it is outdated one, no Android updation, no this WhatsApp facility. What is the use of that mobile? We will not give complaint. Okay, B is silent and is not giving complaint. A, what he did, he sold that mobile to C. C believed that A is the owner, but actually owner is B. Okay, once, till now, till the period B is giving complaint, C is the owner. If B is giving complaint now, then we have to get back the mobile from C. It is called voidable contract. Okay, seller or buyer in possession after sale. Seller or buyer in possession after sale. Section 30. Can I give you some 5 to 10 minutes break? Owner. Yes, sir. No, sir. You don't want break. Seller or buyer in possession. Break. Okay. Break, sir. Break, sir. Okay. So take break of 5 to 10 minutes. I will meet you around 5:40. Okay. Okay, we will continue. Seller or buyer in possession after sale. Seller or buyer in possession after sale. Okay, possession means delivery. They are talking about goods. Who is having the goods physically with them? Explanation A. Where a person having sold goods, where a person having sold goods continues or is in possession of the goods, or of the where a person having sold goods continues or is in possession of the goods or of the documents or the title to the goods, the delivery or transfer by that person or by a mercantile agent acting for him of the goods or documents of title under any sale, pledge, other disposition thereof to any person receiving the same in good faith and without notice of the previous sale shall have the same effect as if the person making the delivery to transfer were expressly authorized by the owner of the goods to make the same. So what they are saying now? So actually there is a seller and a buyer. Um, Seller and buyer is there, and for example, I am going to visit a mobile shop. I am going and visiting a mobile shop. Okay, and they have different types of mobiles in their showroom. I'm ordering one mobile shop. I am ordering a particular mobile. Okay, for example, iPhone recent model I am ordering. So and I also got the delivery and I paid the money and I got the delivery. Okay. So for example, I am X. I am ordering from Y. Y is the seller. I am an X, and I bought an mobile from Y. Okay, that is what the story. But what happened is Y. What he did now, he is already collected the money from Z also. He is already collected the money from Z also for selling the same mobile to Z. Y sold the goods to me, and I got an invoice, and I paid the money. Y sold the goods to X, but why what he did not this Y? He also got money from Z. For what purpose he got na? Same mobile, same model, same number. He said he will sell to Z also. Now what happens? I'm X, I'm going to Y shop for buying an mobile, but I don't know. What Y did with this mobile. Okay, you got it or not? I don't know what Y did this with this mobile. I don't know. I'm just a buyer. I'm going to his shop and buying the mobile. That's what I know, and I paid the money because I have faith that he is the only owner. But why already agreed to sell these goods to agreed to sell this mobile to Z? But that is not my problem. That is a problem between Y and Z. Z should ask why you sold to X. You said you are going to sell to me, but you sold to X. You have to pay the damages. He can collect damages from Y, but X is innocent here. X is innocent because X, while going to the shop, he does not aware about all these things. He thought only the Y is the owner, and he purchased from Y. Okay, that's what they said here. Understood? That's what the whole theory actually. That's what the whole theory. Example again they give. A sells his BlackBerry mobile to B. A sells his BlackBerry mobile to B. He promised to deliver the same after 1 week. However, A instead of delivering to B sold to C, who purchased it from A in good faith and paid the price. C gets a good title to it. That's what they are saying. What happened? A is a seller. Mobile he is a mobile dealer. He is selling mobiles. And he already committed to B that I will sell to you, sir, and I will deliver this goods, deliver this mobile to your home within 1 week. But what happened later on? A what he did, instead of delivering to B, he sold that goods to C. C is an common buyer. He does not know about all the story. He just went to A's place and he bought the goods. Now C will be the owner. If there is a dispute, that will be between A and B. B can claim damages from A for this action. That's what they are saying. Okay. Second explanation B I am reading now. Where a person having bought or agreed to buy goods, where a person having bought or agreed to buy goods obtains with the consent of the seller possession of the goods or the document, the delivery or transfer of that person by mercantile acting for him of the goods or documents of title under any state pledge or any other disposition that to any person receiving the same in good faith and without notice of any lien or other right of the original sale in respect of the goods sale of effect if such lien or right did not exist. Okay. Again, this is related to explanation A point only. Both are similar. And sale by estoppel. What is the next one? Sale by estoppel. What is that sale by estoppel? Where the owner by his conduct or omission leads the buyer to believe that the seller has authority to sell. He stopped from denying the fact afterwards. The buyer thus gets a better title than the seller. What happens now? A is the actual owner. A is the actual owner now. B is friend of A. B is friend of A. Okay. B is friend of A. A is having one car. Okay. B is friend of A. A and B is meeting C. A and B is meeting C. In front of A, B is telling that A is my friend only, and he gave me authority to sell his car also. And he gave me authority to sell his car also. In front of C, he is saying B is A is also present there. B is telling A is my friend only. He is giving authority to me to sell his car. At that point of time, A remains silent. He is simply smiling. He is smiling. C thought that B is actually having authority to sell, and C purchased a car from B. You got it or not? Because A at that point of time he is silent now. He is simply smiling. When B said something orally, he is simply smiling and listening to B. But actually, A did not agree for that. Still, C can claim the ownership because A is silent when B claims that he is having an authority to sell the A's car. That's what said here. See, now I am putting an example here. A tells B in the presence of C. A tells B in the presence of C that A is agent of C. C maintains silence instead of denying it. Later, if A sells C's goods to B, now C cannot dispute B's title to the goods. Similar to that one only. Here what happens? A is there, B is there, C is there. C is the actual owner. In front of C, A is telling, I am the agent of C and I have a power to sell C's goods. C remains silent and keep calm that point of time. Later on, what happened? A sold the goods, C's goods to B. Then B can claim the actual ownership. Understood? Understood? Shall I proceed further? Sale by a finder of goods. Sale by a finder of goods. What happens sometimes? Sometimes what will happen now? There will be something like that. What you can say? Lost goods. Sale by a finder of lost goods. Finder of lost goods means suddenly what will happen? There will be some yeah, beautiful dog, pet dogs roaming at the road. Okay, a beautiful pet dog roaming at road. Actual owner, what happened? He just lost the dog, his pet dog, and some fellow is at just walking at the road. He just noticed this dog, beautiful pet dog, and he took that dog, pet dog, to his home. Okay, and he gave milk, all these things. food and everything, what happens? And he is spending a lot of money for that also. He is unable to find the real owner. Pet dog, that fellow, na, he is not able to find the real owner of that pet dog. Real owner of that pet dog is not able to find. But dog is eating like anything. Daily costly biscuits and everything, chocolates and meats and everything is spending much for that, maintaining that dog. So in such a case, what he can do now? He can sell that dog to someone else if he is not able to find the real owner, or else he can give it to doctors or any pet clinic also, because he is not able to find the real owner and he already spent much money. Dog worth is only 10,000 rupees. If I buy the dog in market, na pet market, it is 10,000 rupees. But dog already ate dog already ate the food around 20,000 rupees. You got it or not? What I'm saying? Dog price itself 10,000 rupees in pet market, but the dog already ate the food amount rupees 20,000 rupees. So I'm not able to manage this dog, and I am not the real owner of this dog. I'm not able to find the real owner of this dog. I'm already spent 20,000 rupees for this dog. But if I sell this today, I will get only 10,000 rupees. In such a case, that fellow can sell to anyone to claim his expenses, 2/3 of its value. That's what they are saying here. 2/3, you remember. See here. 1/3 under section 169 of the Contract Act. If a finder of lost goods could not reasonably find the true owner of, or true owner refuses to pay the lawful charges of the finder of lost goods, the finder of lost goods can sell the goods when the goods are perishable in nature, or when the lawful charges of the finder of lost goods amount to 2/3 of its total value. Yes, of course. Got it? Understood? I maintain this dog. I already spent this much amount. More than 2/3 I spent. More than 100% I spent. Because dog worth 10,000. I paid 20,000 for his food. In such a case, I can sell, because original owner said, I am not able to pay 20,000 to you. I bought this dog for only 10,000. Who asked you to feed for 20,000 rupees food? That's what they are saying. Okay. Sale by official receiver or assignee. What happens now? Sometimes what will happen? Company will be closed. What happens? Company will be closed. They are not able to run the business. They are not able to run the business because they are highly bankrupt. Insolvency, that is called insolvency. In inter and final level, you will study. Insolvency means they are going to wind up the company. They are going to settle their creditors. In such a case, what will happen now? They will appoint one person. They will appoint one person as a liquidator. They will appoint one person as an insolvency profession. Thereafter, company MD and all nothing. Company MD and all no power. Only that liquidator will be having power. He will decide what is left out in this company to settle our creditors. He will sell all the assets. He will settle all the liabilities. That is called sale by official receiver or assignee. Official receiver means that liquidator. Company's liquidator, he is having authority to sell the assets to settle the liability. Okay, that's what they said. So next topic, conditions and warranties. What is condition and warranty? Any guess related to condition and warranties? condition like rights to the owner. Condition like rights to the owner, specific condition for sale. Condition means something definitely they have to satisfy. You can't violate. There is no sacrifice. You got it or not? Definitely they have to follow. Without that, contract cannot be maintained. Those aspects will be covered under condition. Those aspects will be covered under condition. But warranty is like, supporting activity to the core activity. A supporting terms for the core objective. Warranty is like a supporting term for the core objective. You understood what I'm saying? Condition means definitely you have to follow. 1000 watts mixie means I have to provide 1000 watts only. That is the condition. 900 watts only I am providing. 100 watts only less na. You take it. Do you take it? 1000 watts they mentioned in their menu, in their features they mentioned it is a 1000 watts mixer grinder. But actually when you receive it is 900 watts only. They violated the condition or they violated the warranty in this case. They said in their features, product features, it is 1000 watts capacity motor, but actually it is 900 watts motor. They violated the condition or they violated the warranty? Tell me. Whether it will come under condition or it will come under warranty. Condition, sir. Condition. Condition. Yes, it is condition. But they also said it will consume electricity of 100 units per month. They also informed that in the product voucher it may consume around 100 units of electricity per month, but actually it is consuming 105 110 units, extra 10 unit it is consuming. It is they violated the condition or warranty now? Tell me. Actually in they while advertising they said it will consume around 100 units of electricity per month, but actually when I'm using I'm able to spending around 110 units of electricity. Violation. It is related to condition or it is related to warranty aspect. If I'm using extra 5 units electricity consumption, I'm asking. Electricity consumption will vary according to the state and according to the location and according to the wire you are using and according to the fluctuation in your area and according to the life of the EB machine and other things in your home. Correct or not? You will consume more if you have an poor electricity system at your home. You have a very good electricity system, new wiring and everything is modern. You might be having spending the less electricity consumption also. the usage, the type of manner of using the mixer grinder. For what purpose you are grinding? It's an hard one or soft one. You are grinding the turmeric or you are grinding the tomato. That is also matter now for electricity. How RPM is rotating, rotation per minute or whatever it is. That is the basics for electricity consumption. That means it will come under warranty, not conditions. But 1000 watts per mixie you are giving 900 watts means it is coming under condition. You said you will give 3 jars, but you are giving only 1 jar. They violated the condition or warranty? Now tell me. They violated the condition or warranty? You said you are giving 3. You said you are giving 3 jars, but while receiving the package, I got only 1 jar. They violated the condition or warranty? Tell me. Condition. Conditions, sir. Condition. Yes, that is what difference. That is what difference between the condition and warranty. Okay. Now I will get into the topic. Condition is a major primary thing and warranty is a supplementary thing. That's what you have to differentiate. That is how you have to differentiate. Okay. Without condition, there will not be any sale. Warranty is a supplementary one. All conditions includes warranty, but all warranty does not include conditions. Okay. We will get into the topic now. A stipulation in a contract, stipulation, a particular item or particular feature, a particular point, a stipulation in a contract of sale with reference to goods which are the subject thereof may be a condition or warranty. A stipulation in a contract mean that booklet is there, no, that is a contract. In that contract, in that booklet you have two things, one is condition or another one is warranty. Both will be available in that stipulation. That booklet, that user manual, both will be available. Condition is also available, warranty is also available in the same booklet. A stipulation in a contract of sale with reference to goods which are subject thereof may be a condition or a warranty. Okay. A condition is a stipulation. Condition is a stipulation. Stipulation means it is like an point, or it is like a feature. It is like an one of the point. A condition is a stipulation essential to the main purpose of the contract. It is a main purpose, primary thing, main purpose of the contract, comma, the breach of which gives rise to the right to treat the contract as repeated. If you breach the condition, if you violate the condition, then I will cancel the contract. If you violate the condition, then I will cancel the contract. Okay. If you violate the condition, then I will cancel the contract. That is what they are saying. Repudiated means, that is what repudiated means, rejected, cancelled. Third point, a warranty is a stipulation. A warranty is a stipulation collateral to the main purpose of the contract. A warranty is a stipulation collateral. It is not primary, it is a collateral, supplementary, collateral to the main purpose of the contract, comma, the breach of which gives rise to a claim for damages but not a right to reject the goods and treat the contract as repudiated. If I violated the warranty norms, I cannot reject the contract, I cannot cancel the contract, but I can claim damages. What damages I can claim? Say for example, in warranty, this blade, this thing and all coming. For example, washer in the washer in mixer grinder, washer or belt in the mixer grinder, rotating belt in the mixer grinder. It is got suddenly due to some reason it is got cut off. So I asked them, sir, this belt, rotating belt is got cut off, sir. What to do? Then that company, mixer grinder company is saying, we will replace it, don't worry. We will replace it. We will give you new parts to you. You take it, take our new parts. Again, it will work properly. But you cannot tell them, sir, this rubber, this band got cut off, so I don't want your product. Take your product back. I don't want your product. Because it is got cut off now, so you take your product back. That is not possible. You will say that is not possible because it is covered under warranty only. Due to warranty, if there is any parts problem, we will replace it our own cost. We will claim, we will settle your damages, but we will not buy, we will not cancel the contract. We will not take back the product. Understood? That is the difference between condition and warranty. That's what said here. Point number D. Whether a stipulation in a contract of sale is a condition or warranty depends on each case on the construction of the contract. A stipulation may be a condition though called warranty in a contract. Condition or warranty depends on the booklet only. Booklet, whatever they wrote in that booklet, that is determines what is condition and what is warranty. You got it? Implied condition is there. That is different. Express condition, whatever written is agreeable. If it is not there, not written, then not agreeable. But there are something which we need not to write everything. There are something implied in nature. All the condition we need to write. Mixie means they have to sell only mixie. They should not sell grinder and they should not say it is a mixie. Got it? That is an implied condition. If I want to buy mixie means then I will buy mixie only. I need not to write again in my condition. I am going to sell mixie. That means I am going to sell only mixie to you. This is one condition. It is not required. We already know that I am going to purchase mixie. You are going to sell the mixie. It is one of the condition. That is implied nature. Okay. Distinction between condition and a warranty. Distinction between condition and a warranty. Just now I said na, condition is a primary thing and warranty is a supplementary thing. Value, first thing is value. A condition is a stipulation which is essential to the main purpose of the contract. It is a main thing. Without this, you can't make a contract. Condition should be there. Warranty is a stipulation which is the collateral to the main purpose of the contract. It is a supplementary collateral, not main one. Collateral means supplementary. Rights, the aggrieved party can repudiate the contract of sale in case there is a breach of condition. If you violate the condition, then I will return the product. I don't want your product. 1000 watts means 1000 watts only you should give me, not 900 watts. I will return your product. Repudiate the contract. Here, the aggrieved party can claim damages only in case of breach of warranty. Breach of warranty what? Newly just now I bought, immediately this rubber belt is, rotating belt is got cut off. Not even used, just now I bought it, immediately it is got cut off. What to do? We will replace your damage. It's covered under warranty, don't worry. Treatment. A breach of condition may be treated as a breach of warranty. This would happen when the aggrieved party is conducted with the damages only. Breach of condition means it is a breach of condition as well as breach of warranty. Condition, because condition includes warranty. Here you see, breach of warranty cannot be treated as a breach of condition. Condition is different, warranty is different. It is not covered under condition category. It is covered under warranty category. Net bolt spooled, net bolt and all last, we will put another net bolt. New net bolt we will put and insert and we will make it fit. Don't worry. That will cover under warranty category. Okay. Next one. Condition and warranty may be either expressed or implied. Condition and warranty may be either expressed or implied. When terms of contract, that's what I said now. all the condition need not to be right in the booklet. Something which is already known, common sense, that is condition. But there are something we have to write, special condition. Okay, when terms of contract expressly provide for them, they are known as expressive condition or warranties. They have written in the document, then it is an expressive condition. Implied condition and warranties are incorporated in every contract sale unless the circumstances show a different tension. Implied means it is applicable to all. It's a general knowledge, common sense. Without this, you can't put a contract at all. What are those things that we will look into now? Types of implied condition and implied warranties. Implied condition are those which the law incorporates into the contract unless the parties agreed to the contrary. Section 14 to 17 of the Sale of Goods Act lays down the implied condition. They are as follows. Condition as to title. What is this condition as to title? Next one is condition as to description, condition as to sample, condition as to description and sample, condition as to fitness or quality, condition as to merchantability, condition as to wholesomeness. Remember all these points for 1 mark. First condition is condition as to title. Title means what? Who is the owner? What is the condition? I am going to transfer this property to you, then you will become the owner. That is one condition. When there is a seller, there is a buyer. Seller is transferring goods. Seller is transferring ownership. Seller is transferring the property in the goods to the buyer. That means title is transferred to buyer. Then buyer becomes the owner. That is one condition. What they are saying, in every contract of sale, there is an implied condition that the seller has the right to sell the goods. This condition is called condition as to title. If a person sells goods without having title to it, the buyer is entitled to reject the goods and can recover the purchase price from the seller. Yes, of course, I am not at all a owner. I am a thief. I just did something malpractice and got these goods. I am not a owner. I am just trying to sell these goods, but I don't have title for these goods. You got it or not what I'm saying? I don't have title for these goods. Then I cannot sell these goods at all. Then buyer can ask, get back the money from me because I'm not a owner for these goods. I'm trying to cheat everyone like that. Condition as to description. Condition as to description means description la you mentioned mixer grinder with fruit mixer. Description la you mentioned what? Mixer grinder with fruit mixer. But when you sell the goods, you sold only mixer grinder, not fruit mixer. Fruit mixer option is not available in your product. As per description, you have to sell the mixie along with the fruit mixer, but the fruit mixer option is not available. Only mixer grinder is available. That means condition as to description is violated. As per description, you said you are selling this mixie along with the fruit mixer, but when you selling actually, you sold only mixer grinder, not with the fruit mixer. So condition is violated. Description of goods is not matching with the actual physical goods. Okay, that's what they are saying. Where goods are sold by description, there is an implied condition that goods shall correspond with the description. If they are not, the buyer may reject them or accept them and claim damages. I can reject. Buyer, I am a buyer, I can reject or I can accept also. Okay, you don't have fruit mixer. For that, I will reduce 1,000 rupees. Actual price is 4,000. I'll give 3,000 rupees only. It is a voidable contract of the option of buyer. Okay. Example, they gave something. A wants to sell his typewriter. He says to B, an intending buyer who has not seen the machine. That is a brand new machine. B agrees to purchase it. On delivery, B finds that the machine is old and repaired. B can repudiate the contract, return the machine to A and claim damages also. What happens? A is selling typewriting machine to B. A in phone he said to B, sir, I have a brand new typewriting machine with me and I'm going to make a sale to you. We also believed and purchased the typewriting machine from A. What happened later? It is not brand new typewriting machine. It is very old and repaired typewriting machine. Then we can reject the contract and he can ask damages also. Because of this, I spent my time, you pay me. Like that, he can ask. Condition as to sample. What is this condition as to sample? What is this condition as to sample? Whenever we go to some sweet shop, before ordering sweets, we will ask them to give some sample. For example, I am ordering a gulab jam, and before that I got a sample one piece. I had it. It is very nice. So in front of me they have a lot of gulab jam, so I ordered that. But that taste is totally different, and it is it is not compared with what I had actually. Both are totally different. I had something, and I am when I add a sample, that is totally different. But actually, when I received other quantities, it is totally different. You got it? Then I am not acceptable. Whatever the sample I had, the similar taste and the similar quality only I want. Then I will reject this. Condition as to sample. That is called condition as to sample. Okay? Where goods are sold by sample, there is an implied condition that the bulk of the goods shall be correspond with the sample in quality. Gulab jam, 1 kg gulab jam should correspond with that one sample. Both should not differ with the taste, because then I will not buy. That the buyer shall have a reasonable opportunity of comparing the bulk with the sample. Yes. And that the goods shall be free from latent defects, defects which are not discoverable on a reasonable examination. Slightly sweet is reduced, then also I will not accept. Same level of sweet, same level of ghee, same level of portion, small, the sample you gave me, it is a big size, but actually you are offering a small size gulab jam. I will not accept. Same size, same quality, same taste, same content, same ingredient I want. Even slightly differ, I don't accept. That is called condition as to sample. Then condition as to description and sample. Both should match. I said gulab jam. For example, I said badusha. But what type of badusha it is? I ordered Chandrakala badusha. You know Chandrakala badusha, what will be there inside? In Chandrakala badusha, they will put some additional stuff inside the badusha. Then they will make it as Chandrakala. In description you said Chandrakala, but you are giving sample normal badusha. Not acceptable. Description you mentioned Chandrakala only, na? Then sample you should give me. What you should give me? Chandrakala sample only, na? Why you gave this the normal badusha? Not acceptable. That's what they said. Sample and description together with match the actual. Okay? For that they gave an example also, sugar example. You just go through, very simple. What example I will read? A seller undertakes to supply 100 tons of Java sugar warranted to be equal to the sample. The sugar which when supplied correspond to sample but is not Java sugar. The buyer can repudiate the contract. I think there is something called Java sugar. Maybe that will taste more, I don't know. Buyer said, sir, we will send 100 tons of Java sugar to you, sir. But when he sold, when he supplied the sugar, he sold some local sugar. Then I will not buy, because you said you will send me only Java sugar. That's what they said. Condition as to fitness or quality. Of course, when I am selling something, I will guarantee certain level of quality also. But normally quality and all we can't give guarantee. After purchase, if anything is happened to goods, we are not responsible. Seller will not be responsible. Buyer is the responsible. But in contract, if I am saying specifically, sir, if you buy this machinery, definitely it will produce 100 units per day. Minimum guaranteed units, 100 units it will produce means then definitely that machine should produce 100 units. They are selling approximately it will produce means then we can't ask them. But if they are saying definitely mandatorily it will produce 100 units per day minimum means then definitely that machine should produce 100 units. That is called condition as to fitness or quality. Quality we can't give guarantee, then we can't ask the seller. If they are giving guarantee means then we can ask the seller. You said minimum 100 quantities it can be produced per day, but I am able to produce only 75 units. Take me back. You take your machinery back. I don't want your machinery because your condition is violated. Minimum guaranteed quantity I am not able to produce. Take back your machinery. That's what condition as to fitness or quality. Okay. So then what? Condition as to merchantability. Condition as to merchantability means what? I ordered one beautiful pen, Parker pen. I already gave this example. I ordered one beautiful Parker pen, 1000 rupees worth. Why I ordered Parker pen? What is the reason? One is it will give some better feeling because I am carrying some costly pen. Got it or not? It looks beautiful, branded. So I will feel better when I am having branded pen. But what happens when I am writing now? They don't put the ink inside. They forgot to put ink inside. Whether still can I keep that Parker pen with me? I'm not able to write anything with that pen. So merchantability we have to check. Even though it is a Parker pen, 1000 rupees costly pen, if I am not able to write, then what is the use of keeping that Parker pen? I have a Audi car with me, but engine will not work. I am not able to drive that car. Then what is the use of having Audi car? Merchantability is not there. So one of the condition is merchantability. What purpose I bought, that purpose should be served. If I'm not able to use, what is the use of buying that product? That is called condition as to merchantability. Merchantability means acceptability in the market. Market, if I buy this product now, I should have used to this level means I'm expecting that level from this product. Okay, that's what they said. In a contract of sale, there is an implied condition that the goods purchased are merchantable quality. A watch that will not keep time and a pen that will not write cannot be regarded as a merchantable. That's what they're saying. Okay. Last point, condition as to wholesomeness. Condition as to wholesomeness. Here, what happens? I ordered a chicken fried rice. Chicken fried rice I ordered. But when I am having the chicken fried rice, I come to know that chicken is not an properly frozen chicken. It is already perished. Bad smell is coming from chicken. I am not able to eat the chicken because it is already perished. So when you are giving the food, you should not give the perishable food to me. Already perished food you should not give me. You have to give me the fresh food, or else at least decent frozen food. When I'm eating this food, I'm able to see that I'm able to realize that it is already perished food. What I will do then? I will eat, or I will give it to the hotel owner back. I will eat, still I will eat the chicken fried rice, or I have to return the food. I will return the food because it is already perished. So condition as to wholesomeness is not there, then I will cancel the contract. All these things are implied condition. We need not to write anywhere. It is already known to everyone. If you violate this, then I will return this. Because you gave me a food which is already perished. Understood? So up to this I completed. From next class, I think we will complete this warranty portion. Only for para this thing and delivery. Next class we will try to complete the balance portion of Sale of Goods Act. We'll complete rest of the things in next class. Okay. I hope the class is understandable and you enjoyed the class. Still you have any doubts, you can always ask me, and I will also upload this videos in the YouTube also. You can go through from videos. Still you have any doubts, even you can message me at my own available time. I will try to explain your doubts. I'm sharing my mobile number also here. So all the best. You please start preparing. Anything might happen. Don't wait for any postponement of exam and other things. So prepare well. Any doubts, keep in touch. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Someone has asked me a doubt. Exam pattern. Exam pattern and all, whatever is there for previous attempt will be continued for this attempt also. Okay.